Hello there, I'm Scotty, you're not. We're trudging to the end. We're looking at Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1. We're unnecessarily splitting it into two. Now, people say that this is needed to be split into two. I can get that, but there's a lot of stuff in this movie that you could have deleted, and deleted stuff that you could have kept in. There's a couple of deleted scenes at the beginning of this that should have been kept in. Although one of them I think I understand why they did it, because it's just the way the actor was. But yeah, there's other things in this that are like, why are we doing this? Why did they even try that if it wasn't going to work to begin with? I don't know. But yeah, so following the events of the last film, the Death Eaters are after Harry, chasing after him and such. So they need to protect him because he is the chosen one, and yeah. And then, of course, they need to hunt down the Horcruxes so that they can defeat and destroy Voldemort. So, yeah, this is the first one where Hogwarts plays no part in it. But I do have to say, much like with the last three, the title of the book is one of the most, when it comes to the title of the book, the object is in the title of the book or whatever it means. It's again one of the most, they don't even mention the Deathly Hallows till the third act of this film. The third act of the first part, which is close to halfway through the book, if you're going for it this way. Yeah, they don't even explain they don't say what it is or explain what it is until the third act. Third half makes no sense. Where Luna's dad, played by Rhys Ifans, yes, the lizard, explains it. Look, there's so much you could take out. The whole everyone turning into Harry at the beginning, could take that out. The wedding between Bill and his fiance. Why? I understand that they're attacked at the wedding, but again, it's one of those things where you could have skipped all that and said there. You could have started with all three of them on the run, trying to find that Horcrux. Cut out all the stuff. You could have started with them saying goodbye to their families, and then them on the run. Skipped all the 45 minutes of bullshit you had at the beginning of this. There's really no reason for it. Only thing it leads is that Hedwig and Mad-Eye Moody die. And that's it. George gets injured. That's pretty much it. There's really no point to it at all. And then, do we really need Ron to separate from the two once they're outgoing? Was it really necessary for that to happen? It's just more filler. And even from a book writing standpoint, it's almost as if she was told she had to write a specific number of pages. Because even from a book writing standpoint, some of these plot points don't make sense. The Harry thing, right? At the beginning, they're trying to protect Harry from the Death Eaters. So they're turning everyone there, part of the Order of the Phoenix, into Harry because he's under 17. Or they say he's underage, so they'll be able to track him. But then, I'm like, wait, they allow Ron and Hermione to use it? They're all the same age, right? And then I realized, oh, it hasn't been Harry's birthday yet, so he's still 16. He hasn't become 17 yet, so it's not his birthday. But they all turn into Harry, and then it doesn't work because one of them is secretly working for Voldemort. And I hate that in movies where, oh, we're going to do this big plan, and then it doesn't work. Why write they're going to do a plan if you're not going to have it work? It's not needed otherwise. I hate that in movies. Why write it in there? It's just to fill the runtime. In a movie that's already 2 parts! 2 parts, where the first part is 2.5 hours. And the next part is a little over 2 hours. Sometimes you don't need everything from the goddamn book. But part I want to talk about that they took out of, I don't know if it's in the book, but the beginning, they're basically saying goodbye to their family. Hermione erases the memory of her parents. Don't know how that protects them though, because the Death Eaters would still know who her parents are, even if the parents don't. I never got that. I never got it. She uses the obliterate thing, and it erases the parents' memories of ever knowing they had a daughter. But it doesn't erase the Death Eaters. Doesn't erase the Death Eaters' memories, so I don't get how that protects them. I don't know. And then Harry watches as the Dursleys leave. And now I've bitched about the Dursleys for the entire film series and loved when they're not in. But this is one instance when I think there should have been more. Because all we get is Vernon yelling at them to go into the car, and then they leave. Vernon kind of looks at them for a little bit and they leave. But there was more. There was two specific scenes that leaded here. One where Harry comes downstairs and Petunia is standing in the living room. She goes, I've lived in this house for 20 years. And now overnight they expect me to leave. And Harry says, well, they'll torture you. They'll do anything. If they think you know where I am. If they think you'll help them find me. She goes, well, you don't have to tell me about suffering. You didn't just lose a mother that night in Godric's Hollow. I lost a sister. Which would have been the first time she actually acknowledged that she cared about her sister. And they went, nah, we don't need that. Bullshit. And then, this is the biggest middle finger. Because this is character development. For a character that needed it. And I saw this online and I was like, the only thing I can think of is why they didn't keep it in. Is not because of the contents, but because of the stupid ass fat suit they put Harry Melling in. And by the way, Harry Melling is another connection to Doctor Who because he is the grandson of one Patrick Troughton, who is the second Doctor. So, yes, was or whoever shall be, yes. But yes, Harry Melling, who played Dudley, lost a considerable amount of weight during the years, as you could tell that from Part 5, but he lost more weight in between. So they decided for his appearance in this film they're going to put him in a fat suit, and it looks terrible. Like, whatever they put there to make him look fatter is fine, but the makeup they put on his face, it looks like the makeup from later when Hermione messes with Harry's face so they don't recognize him, and it swells his face up. That's what it looks like. Fat makeup shouldn't look like that. They didn't. And what's worse is during this scene, it's a scene, character development, but there's a moment where you can hear the suit go when he moves his hand. He's like, oh, good God. He's in a fat suit, and they get ready to leave. So he's like, I don't know why I said a fat suit again, but he's like, well, what about him? Isn't he coming with? Who? Harry. Absolutely not. You doesn't want to go, do you, boy? No, absolutely not. In fact, I'm a waste of space, isn't that right, Vernon? And I like how even Vernon gets a little bit. Because he kind of just looks at him. He doesn't say anything. Come on, Dudley, let's go. He does not say anything to that. But then Dudley steps over the hook thing on a car. You hook it up, you know that thing? Puts his hand out and he says, I don't think you're a waste of space. And they shake hands. And then that's when you hear the from the suit. But it's one of those moments that is needed. Should have stayed in the film because that is character development. Because it shows you that after Harry saved his life from the Dementors, it gained him respect. That Dudley learned to respect Harry after that. He saved his life. Dudley had done nothing but torture Harry through the entire childhood. And Harry still saved his life. And that earned Dudley's respect. But let's not put that in the movie. Who needs actual character development from characters that need it, right? No. Let's do a scene where everyone's just like Harry and it doesn't amount to anything. And again, I get it. It's in the book. Sure. But I don't care. It's unnecessary. And the wedding, too. Oh, and don't get me started on the thing with Remus and his wife, which I didn't know that what the big lady was his wife. When did they get married? They had something to say, but they're cut off. And spoiler alert, they have a kid, so they're dead. Not yet, but come on. Someone tells you, "Oh, we had a baby." Oh, you're dead. You're dead. That is Sirius Black, you are. But yeah, so when that doesn't work, they end up. And anyway, why are they even having a goddamn wedding when the forces of evil are trying to kill Harry Potter? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. They think they're supposed to be protected, I guess. I don't know. So Harry, Ron, and Hermione take off after that. It's at the wedding we meet Luna's father. And it's like, it doesn't really make sense why he's there to begin with, but it's there to point out. Maybe he had more of a role in the book, but I don't know. So now they're on their own. They do eventually find the actual. I think they go to Godric's Hollow to get it because it belonged to. It turned out that the RAB is Regulus Black, Sirius's brother. We see that other house elf that was a dick in the previous film. Creature with a K, because we're clever. Yeah. But yeah. Apparently, whoever wears the necklace becomes an insufferable dick, because Harry wears it and he becomes a little bit of a prick. And then Ron wears it. And he starts to get jealous of Harry and Hermione, even though he knows Harry is dating Ginny. It dwarfs your mind. I get it. He becomes, they have to. So, I forgot. In their wills, they are bequeathed in their wills. In Dumbledore's will, they're bequeathed items. Harry gets the snitch that he caught during first year. Hermione caught it with his mouth. Ron receives the Deluminator that Dumbledore is using to take up the lights. And Hermione receives a storybook. Yeah, the Deluminator has more than one ability, and that comes in handy later. And this feels like maybe it's from the book. I don't know, where it's like, they separated. But he needs to find a way to get back, so let's pull this out of our ass. How can something that gets rid of light be used to find them? I don't know. I really don't know. But, yeah. So, they find that the only thing that can kill these is the Sword of Gryffindor, because it has the basilisk blood on it. So, but they don't know where it is, because even though Harry was gifted it, we can't have it with them the whole time, right? We gotta wait till it's convenient for them to have it, because we can't have it now, or the movie and book would go too fast, because Lord knows we gotta stretch this over 2 movies anyway and have a long ass book. So, yeah, I don't. So of course it can't get it right away. It does fit with the it only comes when you need it. But they need it. So why doesn't it come to them? Because they're like, oh, well, we need it. It comes to you and you need it, right? That's how he defeated Tom Riddle in the second one. So why hasn't it shown up then? It comes later. And to Ron, for some reason, in the middle of a lake. So yeah, so Ron's jealousy causing him to leave. He still has the Horcrux, by the way, but they don't seem to care. Because they're going to start dancing. For some reason, there's no reason for him to do it. And if they're going to do that, why didn't they do it when Ron was there so it doesn't serve anything? I know some people describe it as, it's a last fleeting moment before they have to, really go into being adults. And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Eventually, Ron comes to save the day because, the Illuminator Ex Machina. But also there is a Patronus shows up and it leads them to the the shit, the doo-doo, the poo-poo, to where the sword is, which is in the middle of the lake. And they're able to stab, eventually, the Horcrux, and then they reunite. I love how Hermione's decision is like, where did you come from? What is going on? What happened to that? Where's my wand? Because Harry's wand. So they made a big deal back in the first one of how his and Voldemort's wands are brothers. But never mind that, because all of a sudden it's like, they're brothers, so they can't kill each other. Why make a big deal? Because when they find the fixtures like brother one versus brother one, it's all big. Nope, they refuse to fight each other. So I don't know. Well, they go to see Luna's father, and the house is all disheveled, and he explains to them about the Deathly Hallows. It's in a book that Hermione has read. Yet they still needed to go to a character specifically written for this book to get the explanation. When Hermione had the book the whole fucking time. Do you see why some scenes could have been cut? Especially even in a book. If she had the storybook with the story, why did I need to go to a character we never met before and tell this movie to get told about the story? It only serves to further the plot because apparently the Death Eaters have kidnapped Luna. Again, there's no reason for them to do that. Only so that this character we've only just met in this movie and never before can be set up to betray them. I'm starting to realize I don't particularly care for this movie. A lot of frustrating stuff. And this is just the build up to the final showdown, which really frustrates me about this movie. It's all build up and no payoff. And that's why I hate 2-part movies. But even with the Lord of the Rings movies, there's stuff that happens towards the end of the film. Even though there are interconnected stories, you get the build up and the payoff, and then we go on to the next part of the story. Build up. The Battle of, what is it called? Hobbs End, or whatever it's called? Knob End. Hobbs. And that one, the 2000 Hobbs End. And then the third one, you get the big old battle there. There's battles at the end of each one, sort of. The thing in the cave is what really ended the first one. But there's significant events. We're here, not really. And I struggled with it because since David Yates took over, he sort of left cliffhangers at the end of each of his movies. So they've kind of felt like they're trying to lead into the next one. And maybe that's why it feels kind of long in the tooth when each movie is 2.5 hours long, because you want to cram as much of the book into it as you can. When, you could cut some stuff. I don't know. But anyway, they go there. He gives them tea. They explain that, so there were 3 brothers. 3 brothers courted death. They asked for gifts. One of them got a resurrection stone, which, if I'm correct on this, is the Sorcerer's Stone? Or it's another stone that could bring people back to life. I don't know. I always assumed it was the Sorcerer's Stone, but they call it the Resurrection Stone, and they never reference it as the Sorcerer's Stone. At least not in this part. Also, Dumbledore said he destroyed the Sorcerer's Stone, but maybe he couldn't. I don't know. Then there is the Elder Wand, which we find out Dumbledore had, although no one has ever told this in the movie, maybe in the book, but in the movie, no one ever mentions that Dumbledore had it, at least that I could hear. They never pointed out that at the end of this, the movie ends with Dumbledore, with Voldemort getting the Elder Wand from Dumbledore's grave. And I'm like, wait, did they once mention it was there? How did he know? Anyway, and the third one was the Cloak of Invisibility, which we know Harry has. I'm assuming it's that same cloak. And so that, but the 2 of them died, and the one that was invisible did not die because he was invisible. And then eventually, at an old age, he passed the cloak down to his son, which I'm assuming is somewhere in Sirius Black's family, because that's where the cloak came from. I think. I don't know. But yeah, to have all 3 of them would be complete power. But it turns out that Luna's father sold them out to get his daughter back, and they don't even give his daughter back. They don't. So they're taken to Castle Malfoy, and for some reason, Hermione puts a thing on Harry's face, like I mentioned, to make it look like he's puffed up, so they don't recognize him. But he looks like a puffed up Daniel Radcliffe, but they still don't recognize him. I don't get it. I don't know. He calls himself Vernon Dudley. And they're like, well, his name's not in this book. And I'm like, so what? So what? For all you know, he could be a muggle walking around and I don't know. But they're taken in, which alright. And we find out that they still have Mr. Ollivander, but also Griff Hook is there. And Griff Hook was the one, in the first one he was voiced by Danny Boy? Warwick Davis, but physically portrayed by Vern Troyer. Now he's just completely Warwick Davis. And yeah. And then the 3 are locked in, well, 2 of them. Harry and Ron are locked in the basement with the others. But who comes to save the day? Dobby! Yes, Dobby comes to save the day. Because again, J.K. Rowling rolled herself into a corner. Who's going to save them? There's no one left. Nobody knows where they are. Oh, Dobby Ex Machina to save the day. It, again, feels like he's pulled out of someone's ass. So he frees them. He helps them get up there. There's a bit of a battle. They save Hermione. And Dobby proclaims that he works for no one and that he is free. And he makes this big speech, and I went, and you're watching this big speech, he's making, Dobby is a free elf, and I'm like, sound like Dobby's going to be a dead elf in about a minute. And I didn't realize this back in the day, but and this also kind of makes no sense to me. So every time that they dissipate or whatever it is, it's instant. For some reason, when Dobby does this, maybe they don't explain it. Maybe it's because there's so many people he's got to do it to. Even then, he already transported Luna and Ollivander out. And they got Griffook now. But, like, it takes forever for this thing to dissipate. And Bellatrix throws her stabbing knife in there. And when they dissipate, when they show back up again at a different location, they don't show everyone landing because it's got to be a surprise that Dobby got stabbed and he dies in Harry's arm. For some reason, Hermione doesn't respond to Harry when he says you could save her. And this is clear to me, watching this part, that it's like, I'm assuming this was from the book, that J.K. Rowling had no idea how to save them from the Malfoy house. So she had to shove in a character from before. So, Dobby. Because he can teleport, apparently, and save them. And then she's like, well, I don't need him anymore. He's dead. That's what it feels like. It's like, oh, he did his job. He can die now. Fuck you, J.K. Rowling. You don't do that to Dobby. You don't. It's sad. And that's 3 down now. Hedwig. Mad-Eye Moody. Didn't really know him. Not this version anyway. He didn't do much. And Dobby. All in the same movie. So they buried Dobby, and then we get the Voldemort tease at the end where he finds the Elder Wand, even though nobody once said it was in Dumbledore's grave, but somehow he knew it was there. I don't know. Also, it's worth to point out that Harry has Malfoy's wand. Draco Malfoy's wand. Yeah, this was a lot of... Yeah. I sometimes I never know until I start doing these reviews, because I don't script them. I just go fly by the seat of my pants here and go by my raw emotion. And sometimes I don't realize till I start reviewing that I guess I didn't particularly care for this movie. But I don't hate any of the Harry Potter movies. No. So it's not Friday in Hell. And I can't say it's not worth your time, because you kind of need to watch it if you're watching all of them. So I'll give it a low, middle of the road. This may be my least favorite, actually, which means it's beaten out Order of the Phoenix as my least favorite. I didn't even talk about the scene where they use the Polyjuice Potion to sneak into Gringotts or whatever it is that they go in, and that's how they get the sword, I think. Maybe not the sword, they sneak... Why did they go into there? What is the point? It's not even in a Wikipedia article. So I couldn't even figure out why they go in there. I don't understand why they go there. Because, spoiler alert, they go back to Gringotts in the next one. So I don't get why they... They're sneaking to the Ministry of Magic, right? Is that where it is? By the way, we have another Doctor Who connection as well. Bill Nighy, who was, of course, the museum curator in Vincent and the Doctor. Yes. Another Doctor Who connection, so... Yay! So... Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Harry Potter and the Unnecessary Part 1? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.